You're listening to Channel Talk 101, where we discuss topics that explain the best tactics in channel marketing to help manufacturers sell more of their products. Channel Talk 101, educating you on channel marketing. Channel Talk 101, marketing, sales and solutions.
Good morning, and welcome to Channel Talk 101 here on Business Class News. And, if you're a regular listener, reader, viewer on our YouTube channel, etc., you'll have seen that, we've got various topics and various sort of little segments that we do. And, I'm real excited because, today I've got Brooke Friendly, who is, of course, the marketing director over at, there he is on the screen. If you're listening to this, you're not seeing this wonderful image of Brooke waving in the background. So, I've got Brooke joining me this morning from Channel Assist, who are our partners in a venture that we're actually launching called XLA Solutions. Full disclosure, Business Class News owns 50% of Connexus, which XLA Solutions is a part of as such. So just wanted to get it out there. So in case somebody said, "Oh, you're being biased," well, yes, I'm being biased because I love what we do. But Brooke, thank you for joining me this morning. I'm excited to have you on the show.
Pleasure. This is great, and always looking forward to speaking with you, Carl. So thank you so much for having me.
Hey, no worries. We've had, of course, Richard Stevens, your president, on the show several times. He's a regular contributor. And we kind of, over the past few conversations, gone through this conversation about, because, I was put to rights, and rightly so, when I was saying, hey, it's all about reward, recognition, loyalty, etc. And Richard said, wait a minute, that's changed, and it's more about engagement. Right. So today's conversation, because you're on the creativity side, and really sort of making the programs, etc., the campaigns that go out there really pop. And you said off camera a second ago about that you have two clients, right, which, you have a challenge because you've got two people that you've got to think about. So explain what you mean about how does that engagement work for both clients?
For sure. And Richard said it right about engagement in terms of our two personas that we go after. So we have the organizations that we deal with, and obviously they're interested in revenue growth and ROI. And, potentially how they can get out to market better and get their brand out there. But who are they dealing with? The channel rep. That is the second market that we're going after, the second persona that we deal with. That's our audience. And those channel reps, if you think about it, not only do you have to engage them, but there is so much noise in terms of other manufacturers potentially that they're dealing with. So how do we break through? And so the old days of just sending out an incentive, sell X, get Y, will get lost. You have to engage with them using different tactics. You have to be creative, constantly iterating, changing up the message and what's going to really resonate with them at a specific time. And so we've been successful doing that, but it's a constant journey. We're constantly changing it up and testing it and seeing how it flows, for sure.
Well, last week we launched a podcast show around creativity, and the question was, can creativity be taught, or are you born with it as such? And I feel very, very sort of impressed whenever I talk to a creative person like yourself, because you're right, you're having to come up with different ideas, but the thing that I think we all have to think about is we've got to accept that you talk about noise out there with the audience. What is relevant to that audience, and what is going to capture their attention? And so where does the creativity, where does it start, and when does it go to the edge? Is there sort of guidelines you have to think about?
So there's two parts of it. So I like to use the McDonald's analogy, which is, you're driving home from work and you see a big signpost up in the distance, and there's the McDonald's arches, and you start to think about, I'm kind of hungry, but okay. And then you pass the sign, and then you turn on the radio, and then there's a commercial from McDonald's, at McDonald's, right? And you're like, oh, okay. And then you get home and you go on your, your TikTok or your Instagram, and there's a coupon that has just arrived from McDonald's to get your Big Mac. And then, okay, boom, honey, let's get Uber, and we're going to order it and we're going to get it. Okay. So you have to absolutely, in the marketplace, and when you're dealing with channel reps specifically, there are different messages at different times that you have to get out there. So that for sure. However, the creativity part, if you send the same bland message, so you mentioned that do, right? If there was
better than me, by the way.
if it was just like, come and eat at McDonald's, probably wouldn't resonate with you. So, and also the way that the arches look. So there's a lot that goes into the thought in terms of how you're going to present your ideas. So when we do campaigns for reps, we use different tactics. So we send out email campaigns and we do A/B testing. And one of the emails will be plain text. One of the emails is going to have an animated GIF to it. See what resonates. Let's say, for example, the market that we're going after, the animated GIF one gets more of a hit. Then the next week, when we do our second iteration of that email, we'll put the animated GIF, and then we're going to try another variation. So when I talk about iterations and constantly changing, that's what we're talking about. Back to creativity. Can you teach it? Yes. But it's really about sort of being open to trying new things and not being afraid to push those boundaries. That's really what creativity is about. It's understanding your target market, understanding how that message will resonate with them, and then trying different things, different phrases, different words, different colors, different sounds. There's a myriad of ways to do it. So, I mean, but yes, you can teach creativity. I mean, you can teach it. I do believe that. For sure.
That's good. That's good. Well, one of the things that I'm famous for saying, because I'm from the radio, background as such, is repetition builds reputation. Okay. Right. And you said you've got to be consistently in front of. But I put that out a couple of years ago, and I was like, "Oh, this is the thing you have to be thinking about when you're doing your marketing. You've got to have repetition." And this individual came back to me and said, "Yes, but don't repeat the same thing." Because that's what they say: doing the same thing over and over again is the sign of insanity. Right. But the thing is that you still have to have that foundation, that keystone of the branding and all the foundation but then above that is, how am I going to capture somebody's attention, and what is it going to take to get somebody to click on the button and actually engage with them?
So I'll give you an example. So we had a client that wanted to launch a specific product out to their base of channel reps, and there's a million different ways that you can do it. What we understood when dealing with the client, and they said, come up with something. Our goal is, we want to reach this audience. We want a captive audience that we can then deliver information to, because they were trying webinars and meetings and sending out emails and nobody was attending. So how can we grab them? So we said, okay, what's your target audience? What are their age range? And the age range was between 25 and 35. Okay, millennials, sort of younger. And we said, okay, we're going to put together a fun event with Snoop Dogg. We love Snoop Dogg. Snoop Dogg.
Love it.
We got a Cameo. So we actually went to Cameo. We got Snoop Dogg. We got him a script to basically invite these folks to a trivia party, a Kahoot. We used the Kahoot platform. It was Kahoot for Loot. And Snoop Dogg, a personal invitation. And we did it, drop it like it's hot, join Snoop Dogg, Kahoot for Loot, have fun. It was nothing about a sales pitch. It was not about come out and learn about the client's product. It was not about you need this to help your sales. It was come join Snoop and have a party. And we got over 700 registrations.
Fantastic.
And the key was, though, captive audience. They came for the Kahoot event. They had fun. And then at the end, the manager that was there said, oh, and by the way, thank you so much for coming. Here's some information that will help you. And they have now continued that Kahoot sort of idea. So talking about a different way to engage the reps, the creativity, understanding the audience, they were into that Snoop, that sort of methodology. It was great. It's so much fun. So yes, you can't use the same old messages over and over. It's the same message, but different tactics. So the way you deliver it, and that's what we did. They wanted people, we got them out there.
Well, I think I've learned a lot from my kids. I mean, my kids range from 25 down to 16, and I'm watching how they consume
For sure.
media, how they consume the content in there. And this, as you say, TikTok, it's consumed. It's very quick blips such as of fun, entertaining pieces. But within it, they've been very clever of how to put product placement in there, etc. So the future workforce, and we talk about this a lot on Business Class News. We actually have a whole section about how do you actually train your future workforce as such. And we've been working with Texas Instruments and Best Robotics and all those people.
Well,
the key thing in all of this is you've got to be able to deliver the content in the way that they are going to actually engage with. That's the key thing.
That is the key. And we've actually done our own studies in-house because we're very sensitive to, obviously, we can have a great idea, but until you measure it and understand the data and actually how it's working, great ideas don't really mean much until you actually find out, did it actually work or not? And our greatest failures become our future successes because we thought something would work, we take a look at it, how did it drive engagement? It did or didn't, and then we iterate. But here's what's interesting in terms of our own data research that we've done. So we used to do a lot of white papers and blogs and articles, et cetera, and we get good sort of clicks and on those call to actions. But what we have found over the last 2 years is that people don't read for more than 30 seconds to a minute anymore. They want video snippets. So the same content, the same article that you would write in our case about, the channel ecosystem or engagement in the channel, but they will consume that 30-second video with then a call to action link to download the bigger sort of piece, as opposed to putting out that blog or article. And we see that people jump off within 5-10. Really? You want me to spend 10 minutes reading this now? No. So that's just the reality. It doesn't make it right or wrong. And so understanding that is, getting your foot in the door. We understand that we have to nurture folks. And so initially we get them enticed, video clip, video piece. And then when we nurture them down, here's more of the information that's accessible to you. So if it's a report or a blog or a white paper, et cetera. And so you need to have all of those different marketing pieces, but how you actually get them interested initially, it's changing for sure.
Oh, it is. It is. And we have a process called iSight. It's an iSight campaigns where we take people through personalized, websites, etc. Right. People hit their personalized URLs, etc. And oh my goodness, 20 years ago, we had this thing of saying, let's serve up, that first sort of contact, right, and then have the user, the recipient, decide how they want to digest and consume the media. And we used to have like five sort of slides, really 5 pages on the microsite, and then we'd bring them back to the end and say, okay, do you want to book a meeting with me? Do you want to have me call you? Do you want to download a white paper, etc.? But it's that first sort of experience is really going to hit sort of lock them in as such. Now one of the things that I just heard you say was, you sort of you use these tactics to bring people in. We think about the programs that are run for channels, etc., and you see the performance and you can measure all that, but you can measure the performance of the creativity, can't you? As you say, that A/B testing, etc. So that's just as important as the back end, because you don't get that right, the back end won't work.
100%. It's as important as the creativity that goes into creating a campaign, because again, we always A/B test. So no matter what we do to get in clients or working specifically with the organizations to develop messaging to go out to those channel reps on behalf of the clients, we are always A/B testing because we don't know what we don't know. And if you assume early in my career, when I had hair, and I was a bit thinner, I was like, man, this idea is great. This is gonna work. And of course, and you spend $20,000 and you develop this desk drop piece and you send it out and you get 0 replies. Whoa, right? And you get fired. So that was early in my career. What I have learned over time, and what obviously Carl, as well, is that you need to constantly test and get the data to understand what is working. And by the way, what worked amazingly well 3 months ago, and then people say, "Oh, it worked, so we're going to do it again and invest all this time," without a test. They just assume, well, it worked, and then all of a sudden they fall. What happened? Well, seasonality, the people that you reached at the time, the offer at the time was different, the actual climate in terms of the economy. All these factors that you didn't think about, you have to consider. It's not just because you have a pretty picture doesn't mean that it's going to work. So yes, long-winded sort of response, but I agree with you. When we do any campaigns, you have to measure it. It's super important, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, the thing that we've learned from working with you over the past over a year now is that sort of protocol, that process, you're a very processed sort of organization. You want to make sure, because at the end of the day, as you say, you talk about being fired as an individual, but an agency can be fired if it doesn't work, and you have the responsibility to make sure that your client is getting the best that they can. One of the things that I've also seen is that if you start to, we talked about this on a webinar that we were on, a few narrowcasting rather than broadcasting, because if you broadcast and you think, oh, that is the message what people want, you'll get a tiny slither of engagement. But if you start to narrowcast with specific messages, etc., then you're going to get maybe a larger percentage of engagement.
What's a great example, and not even from us, obviously. Have you ever seen those commercials, Car Shield? They are on all the time. It's a car insurance protection plan.
Yep.
And I watch NFL football. I know you're a big soccer fan, but I watch NFL football. So they're constantly, these ads are on TV. And what's fascinating is, because I watch a lot of TV and I see these ads, they have 6 different Car Shield ads. They're basically selling insurance for your old car. But every commercial has a different spokesperson. So one has a young person, the next one has a middle-aged person, the next one has a couple, the next one has African-American, the next one has... And what's fascinating is, and slightly different music and tone, et cetera, same product, same delivery, same value prop, but the message and the way they send it out is going to hit a different audience. So that's a perfect example where, as an organization, any organization, you have a product that you're selling. Can you shape that and creatively create a compelling message to those different audiences that you need to hit? Because a one size clearly is not going to fit all, because there might be an ad for a millennial that's not going to talk to an old guy like me now. I can't believe I'm saying I'm old, but that's...
We're young, we're experienced.
So if I see someone with a beard and no hair, I'm like, I trust that guy. He makes a lot of sense, as opposed to, this young up and comer. So absolutely, it's about it. Really, it really is. So that's just what, and you'll see these Car Shield commercials now. It's amazing, but they do it right. That's the way to do it.
Well, yeah, I mean, you're sort of taking me back. It's like Back to the Future. This when I was in radio, and I had this crazy sort of idea. And no ideas are crazy. We already fixed that, in the last segment I did. You've got to come up with these ideas. And I went to one of the largest, this was when I was in the UK, and I went to one of the largest, superstores, and said, your advertising is wrong. The way that you're doing your advertising. And they went, no, our big agency in wherever. And I said, well, I've just listened to an advert, I'm in Manchester, and the person that's saying it is saying Dookingfield. You come to our store in Dookingfield. And I said, it's Duckingfield. But you don't, that's how you pronounce it.
Right.
I said, so you need to start to create voiceovers and commercials that match the dialect of the various
sure.
regions, because people that live there get offended if they don't hear the so again it's thinking about who that audience is and what's going to resonate with them. Well, we're coming up to the end of our segment. Unfortunately, we kind of a little overran there, but it's every time I talk to you, it's like, I learn stuff, and I'm like a sponge.
Me too.
I'm a sponge, and so, in summary, what are the things that you think that somebody who's thinking of running an engagement, program for their channel? I'm talking, there's a manufacturer or wherever, and say, look, I need to get in front of the people that are going to be selling I'm going to get my name at the top of the pile, get forefront of what are the key things that they need to be thinking about? And then they can come and talk to us about how we can deliver it for them.
Yeah. So again, talking about what we just, echoing what we said, engagement is key. So getting out there with different messages for the different channel reps based on who they are, number one. So understanding who they are, and then creatively using different approaches to get them to come to whatever it is. So if the call to action is to attend a webinar, if it's to click a link in an email, how are you going to get them to do that? My suggestion, and so here's the big takeaway, is do lots of versions. Don't do one. Don't rely on, this is the way we've always done it. You should have 4 or 5 different tactics, approaches in terms of how you speak to that audience, and then measure it and understand. So that's point number 2, measure and see which one works. So you send out 4 pieces of content to drive those reps to click on your call to action. Which one proportionately is working better? Then that one you hold on to, and then the next week, and when you follow up and you do your next message out, you're going to utilize that and then create 3 iterations off of that. Measure again. So not being afraid to come up with different ways to engage them, 4, 5, 6, 10 different ways, send it out, measure it, and then based on the success or lack of success, iterate and move forward. So, we talked about doing video and doing different things. Look, there's a million tactics. It really is about not being afraid and getting stuck with that one great idea that I have to use. And if I will add, and maybe my bosses will kill me in saying this, see what the competition is doing, by the way. And don't be afraid to say, we're not the smartest people in the room. And what are the other folks doing? And why is that working? And not steal it, but take a look at what's working. And so how do we employ that into our marketing efforts as well? That's another key component of marketing in general. So I hope that answers the question. I hope that makes sense. But really, that's how we. No,
that's excellent advice. I mean, one of the things that I'm getting out of this is that, well, I'm hearing, and a lot of people say this to me all the time. They say, oh my, it's easy for you guys to say, oh, go and do this, and everything, and have multiple things. Well, guess what? That's what Brooks for. That's what his team's there for, and they're professionals at this. And so yes, it's a lot of. It sounds like it's a lot of work, and because it is a lot of work. But don't go and try and do it on your own. If you can try it and do it on your own, but that's why you hire professionals. We've said this for years. If you want something to be done, because you're busy doing something over here, you're manufacturing your products, etc. You're communicating with your vendors, your customers, etc. But so if you try, and this is the other thing we talked about with Richard, was that keeping the momentum up. You can launch a great campaign as such, and then guess what? 3 months into it, goes because shiny thing over here or emergency or whatever. But if you've got an agency like yourself, like Channel Assist, working on your behalf as part of the team, you're focused on that.
Right.
And so you can come up, you can listen to what you want them to be doing and say, okay, well, why are you thinking this, etc. But really lean on professionals and Channel Assist. You guys are doing this every day.
We appreciate it. And I know we're short on time, but I love what you just said, Carl, about launch. And I'll tell you, everyone gets excited about a launch, and no different, by the way, in a space launch, right? SpaceX and the rocket, and everyone gathers and they watch this, and the announcers are there, and it's worldwide coverage, and everyone's excited about the launch. And then guess what? After launch, when people go home, those astronauts are now in space, right? And they're floating around or doing their work, et cetera. And just think about if the communication cut out from NASA to those astronauts, it would be a disaster. And so we use the same methodology. So yeah, we get excited, we launch a new campaign, or we launch a new initiative for our clients. If we then stop, communicating out with the channel reps over time, or if we stop our management of it, et cetera, it's going to fail. So exactly to what you just said, yeah, that shiny thing and everyone gets excited, but it's what you do afterwards in terms of those professional services and creativity and consistently going out there, just as important. So yeah, that's great point. It's true.
Well, Brooke, thank you for joining me this morning. It's been a great conversation, and what I really want the audience really to take away of this is that there's lots and lots of ways you can engage with people. You've just got to spend the time. You've got to do the research. You've got to measure the data, etc. And if you do all of that, and you have a team member that's part of that organization, of that launch as such, then it makes it so much simpler, and you get so much more success at the end of it. So, Brooke, thank you for joining me this morning. I really appreciate you joining me.
My pleasure. Thank you, Carl.
Of course, that was Brooke Friendly. He's the marketing director of Channel Assist, which is one of our partners. And we've had some really great conversations over the past year. And now we're launching XLA Solutions, and more of that to come very, very soon. But at the end of the day, Channel Assist is a specialist in that channel program, sort of execution, design, etc. So if you want any information, all the information is in the post below me, and there's a link there that you can actually request more information. So as I always say, go out there, have some fun, make some money, because it's business class news as such. So, but go out there and be safe. So until the next time, goodbye.
You're listening to Channel Talk 101, where we discuss topics that explain the best tactics in channel marketing to help manufacturers sell more of their products. Channel Talk 101, educating you on channel marketing. Channel Talk 101, marketing, sales and solutions.